Hello and welcome once more to the United States of America, and specifically the track is Watkins Glen. So this is the third race in a series of three that I drove back to back on Saturday evening. And yeah, if you watched my previous video, you know that the first time around I went P13, second time P10. So yeah, good progress, and I'm hoping to do a little bit better even now. But the first two races I was seeded 11th, and this time I'm seeded 12th. So logic dictates that the expectation is that I'll not be quite as far up. On the other hand, I've gotten acquainted much better with the track, so yeah, we'll see how that goes, I suppose. In my previous video, I forgot to pull attention towards the fact that I had improved on my personal best, and it was now a 146.7, I believe. I come pretty close in qualifying, and I end up P9 after all is said and done with a 147 flat. So I'm looking to make moves at the start. I'm next to Hamilton in the Italian colored Ferrari, and I was behind the black McLaren of Breedveld. Now Breedveld is a little slow through turn 1, and I have to back out a little bit, allowing Hamilton to easily pull ahead of me. Now they qualified P8, so technically they were already ahead of me, but they had a slightly worse start than me, so it looked like perhaps I was going to gain a position there. In any case, turn 1, no drama whatsoever. You love to see it. It's a rare sight. But then as we come out of turn 3, there is contact there between Breedveld, so the black McLaren, and the lime Porsche of Ola, I believe. So from the perspective of Breedveld, I think they took a pretty neat line coming out of turn 3, no sudden movements. But then the perspective of Ola, we can see that they have to make a correction and they shift right, and at that point is the contact with Breedveld. They get rammed into once again, and then they have to watch the whole field pass by before they can go back on their merry way, or perhaps less so merry way. So for me, that's a couple positions gained. I'm alongside Hamilton heading towards the inner loop, and then on my right, on the inside, Vlad also pulls along. So a very sketchy situation there. I keep my foot in though, and I'm lucky enough to have the other two pull out. So here we see it in the replay. There's almost contact between Hamilton and Ola, but not quite. I'm fully alongside Hamilton, or almost. I guess a gear shift makes it less clear for a moment. Vlad comes on the inside, but on the dirty line, which is very much non-preferred because it's a very, very shallow line, so very hard to make your way through the double chicane. We can see better from their perspective here, all the way on the inside. So they wisely back out of it ahead of time. They have to brake early anyway to make the corner. And that gives me the pretty nice line through it all. Now Hamilton, I'm on the inside. They want to turn in, but then they hesitate, rightfully so, because I had a right to space there. But then they don't quite turn in enough, and they miss the second curb, go across the grass a bit. Now they recover quite well, so they don't lose more positions, just slot in behind flat. As I make my way through outer loop though, I gain another position, this time on Juan Nguyen. We'll see what happened to them. So they're making their way through inner loop, coming alongside a white Mustang, but then they are very careful not to go too close, and they run all the way to the outside, and at that point they're in trouble. Because the corner is banked, but the runoff area isn't, so you can carry a lot less speed through that runoff area, which to boot has a lot of dirt on it, so really hard to, well, basically impossible to gain the same amount of speed there, and that allows me to make my way through. So for the time being, I'm up to P6, and I'm way out of my comfort zone here. For example, Juan Nguyen was seeded second in this race. So the expectation is that they'll come in second or somewhere around there, whereas I'm 12th seeded, so yeah, supposedly they are much faster than me, but we'll have to see how that pans out, of course. To note, Hamilton, who I already was alongside with earlier, is seeded number 1, which may explain also why they were perhaps a bit extra careful, because they know that they're supposed to be top dog in this field, and presumably they don't want to take more risks than needed and feel that they can make up places as the race goes on. Now that is lap 1 completed, and quite a lot happened already. Of course, it all led to me being P1. Nguyen gets a sniff on the inside in turn 1, but I shut the door before they come close enough whatsoever, so nothing doing there, and I maintain position for now, still following Breedveld within 1 second, but Nguyen is a lot closer to me at just 2/10 behind me as we come up to the inner loop, and still inching closer. So time for me to be brave through inner loop. Now, Nguyen was flashing his lights, and I hate to admit it, but it had me distracted. I really don't like when people flash their lights when it's for an overtake for a position. I think it's kind of BM. I mean, bad manners. But let's look at the replay. So we see here that in front of me, Breedveld is flashing his light or their lights at the car in front, and then Nguyen does the same to me. I just kind of overthink it, go a bit too hard on the first curb, have a massive slide that I luckily do hold. I was happy about that at least. But by the time I do catch it, Nguyen has already made their way through, so position loss for me. And my tires are fully on fire there. Now in front we see Breedveld running wide in the inner loop and then bumping back onto the track in front of the white Ford Mustang of Nistor. So Nistor runs into the back of Breedveld and gets slowed down quite a lot. So Nguyen not only gains the position on me, but also on Breedveld, who falls all the way back, and on Nistor, the white Mustang. My tires are in flames, so as I make my way up the hill through tow, Shiro gets a whiff, but doesn't really come close enough to actually make a move. And Hamilton is right behind, so it's Shiro, Hamilton, and Vlad all within 1 second behind me. So really a very tense battle for P6 through 9. Shiro, for trying to make a move on me, then falls back a little bit, and this gives Hamilton a bit of room to go for a move themselves. So they actually do get the overtake done, and as we commence the next lap 3, Hamilton is now the car behind and looking to put pressure on. I get congratulations for a personal fastest lap, which with a 150.5 feels like a bit of a stinker. But anyway, let's cut a lap and a half forward. Hamilton is now super close behind, so he's been gradually upping the pressure on me, and I've been feeling it, I have to say. So as we head towards or down chute, they're already kind of angling towards the inside. I managed to hold off. Same thing in tow, they kind of angle for the inside. I hold them off again. Now checking as we head down this mini straight, are they close enough for a move? But not quite, so I don't take a defensive position because that would slow me down and give them better chances in the following corners. But they remain very, very close behind, so it's all a bit uncomfortable for me. Now as we head through turn 9, I do quite alright there, so gap is just about maintained. Hamilton is a fast driver. Then as we take the penultimate corners, again pretty good, but I have to say it, not as good as Hamilton. So coming out of the last corner, they are very close behind and looking to make a move on the inside. Now I take a defensive line here, put down another personal fast lap, at least the pressure is doing something for me, and we'll review the defensive position and how that worked out. So I'm a bit slow in the last corner of the track. Hamilton gets kind of stuck behind me because they were too close to really make their way around me on exits. They already had to slow down mid-corner. And then they do kind of angle towards the inside, but not by too much. But I cover it off anyway, so they are right behind me. And a bit similar as before, they're so close behind me that mid-corner they kind of have to just follow my pace, which then makes it that they can't really get a better exit, or not by enough to really go for an overtake. Now they do come close, so I try to stick all the way on the inside in turn 3, but it's very tricky to do so. So I drift wide a little bit, and happily Hamilton had already backed out at that point. Through the inner loop we go, and Hamilton is coming very close, but I maintain my bravado that I spoke of in the last video, and I just hold them at bay as we make our way through the outer loop. We're heading up to chute, a very difficult place I think to overtake. It's very easy to close the door early in the corner and not leave room on the inside. So that's exactly what I do, and as we head out of it, I'm maintaining my gap behind. Up the hill through Toe, bit the same story. I am closing in on a car in front, K. Dirks, who is in fact the back marker in P19. So they'll be under blue flags if I come close enough. But that's something to worry about later because Hamilton is still putting the pressure in, being about a half a second behind. I have a tentative moment in T9, so Hamilton was already close behind and just sticks around there. And then we head through to the last corner. I have a wobble, I have to make a correction, and this allows Hamilton to pull closer on the main straight. Probably looking towards a move on the inside, but then if we look in the mirror, still not close enough. I do miss the apex a little bit, and this time Hamilton seems to have learned their lesson, so they stick very close as we go through turns 2, 3, and 4. I guess they're still also feeling the pressure from Shiro behind, who in a similar situation they overtook earlier in the race. And as we get to the inner loop, I'm just a bit too brave this time. I cut the first chicane too hard, or the first curb, and that puts me out of line for curbs 2, 3, and 4 of the whole section. So Hamilton makes their way past, but let's look at the review or at the replay. So yeah, we'll see me cutting the first curb too hard, get quite a bit of a jump. I don't have time to correct for the second one. Have a big slide. I do alright in the third curb, or in the last part of the chicane, but yeah, through goes Hamilton, and I'm left defending the next position. I'm P7 now, which I'm still pretty happy with, but Shiro is once again super close behind me. Actually within 1/10, so I'll have to do all I can to defend. But I'm too late to it, so they just dive to the inside, and since I had another big slide there with the Hamilton overtake, my tires are just not feeling great, so yeah. Shiro goes through as well. In the review we can see that they just had a lot better traction already coming out of chute. They're almost alongside, and it's way too risky at that point to close the door, so they make their way through on the inside. And then the car behind me, Varonos, is looking to also gain the same position or make the same move and follow Shiro through. But at least that one I'm luckily able to close up. They dipped their toes on the grass, and I think that's what helped me defend P8 at this point. Now there's still more than 7 minutes to go in the race, and I'm thinking, right, Shiro and Hamilton are seated a lot higher than me. I'm still punching above my weight with P8, so yeah, of course I wouldn't mind catching up to the cars in front, but I'm not expecting it, and I'm quite confident that the thing to do here is defend, and try to keep Varonos and whoever comes knocking behind. So my previous lap, bit of a stinker, 149.2. Far cry from my best lap in the race, so 147.1. But at least it was enough to keep Varonos behind and not give up more positions. Now in front of us, the battle, or not really a battle, but K. Dirks is dropping back. They're now under blue flags from me, having already had to let through Hamilton and Shiro. So it looks like I should be able to go past somewhere on this lap. Hopefully faster sooner rather than later, because for example coming into the inner loop I was held back a bit there and had to brake more than I would have liked to. Yeah, I leave a bit of a gap to be safe, but this again puts me under a lot of pressure from Varonos, so I'm looking to try and make this move as soon as I can. Now heading into toe, we see that Dirks starts it out a little bit wide, then comes to the inside, but then is overly zealous on the throttle. So they slide out back to the outside and then still keep on the throttle, I think, making them drift back to the inside and really sliding out. So at that point I have a pretty easy time passing them. But then as we go through a heel corner, you see me checking my mirrors, and it's because I noticed that the following happened. So first we see me make the overtake there, just a bit of a slide from Diggs. They don't defend, as they shouldn't. Stay on the inside for a while, and then when it's safe they pull back to the outside. But then Varonos is just surprised by the braking point that they chose. and run into the back of them. I was hoping a little bit that Dirks would hold up Varonos, but not quite to this degree. That wasn't what I was hoping for. But yeah, I mean, I can't complain. It works out well for me. So yeah, Dirk's not doing too hot there. Is upgraded to P18 somewhere in there. I guess someone just maybe left. But Varonos loses a bunch of time on me and is showing now is 3 seconds behind. But that's with cornering slowdowns included, so it's probably gonna run up a bit more. My spotter tells me I'm losing time to the car in front. Not that I expected differently and care too much. I'm just looking to keep P8 hopefully. And I do a 1:47.7, so not a great time, but it'll do for now, as Varonos at this point is 4 seconds behind. Now cutting ahead a couple of laps, we're at the end of the race. There's still 40 seconds on the timer, but at this point Varonos has caught up to about 1 second behind, so putting that pressure, or looking to put that pressure once more. Actually it was in the corner 1 second, so it's more like 1.5, but still quite close at this point. And it seems like we'll be heading towards the final lap. Now is a tiny bit unlucky maybe if the leader had been a little bit slower, then the previous lap would have already been the last one, and I would have had an easy time to P8 at this point, because it was only now that Varonos came unknocking. But as it stands, I'll just have to defend about a 1 second to 1.5 seconds gap, and to bring home P8. So yeah, that's what I'm looking to do. We make our way to turn 1. I'm pretty happy with my approach there. Left a little bit on the exit. Could have been more aggressive on throttle, I suppose, but it's not too bad. And I actually open up the gap a little bit to Varonos. It's approaching almost 2 seconds now. Wondering if I could have upshifted there a little bit earlier, but it's hard to say now. And then we make our way through inner loop. Try to be very aggressive on the attack, but not overly so. And I think I manage it really well. So I'm getting close to improving on my delta at this point, even though I had fallen a bit behind it in the first sector. Lose it again in the outer loop, but nothing too bad. So Varonos still about, I think, at a second and a half behind. And we head towards toe. I go a little bit deep here. I think I'm because of that a bit hesitant on the throttle coming out of toe corner. So yeah, the 1.5 seconds is now definitely a solid second instead. And as we make our way through heel, I think again I'm a bit too careful on throttle. It's a thing that can happen where you're trying to drive smart and not overdo it, but then you become too conservative and just lose time because of that. But we make our way through the penultimate corner. I'm brave enough on the gas there, and then in the final corner, don't outbrake myself, please. And I don't, and that should just about do it. So bringing it home, P8, and very good progress through the 3 back-to-back races at Watkins Glen, track I've been loving, even though it's so new to me. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you for watching, and catch you on the next one.